It's May 7th, 1989, NBA playoffs. The visiting Chicago Bulls are down 1 with just seconds remaining in a decisive Game 5 against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Both these teams feel like they're on the precipice of greatness. But only one is going to make it out of this round, and it comes down to this play, which is in the hands of Michael Jordan. Before we see it, we've got to understand how this matchup and this moment came to be. This series is a rematch between divisional rivals, and as you can tell from the location of this final game, the Cavaliers are the higher seed. These Cavs are an awesome team, and they became awesome quite convincingly, quite suddenly. The core of this squad dates back to 1986, to a dismal 29-win Cavs team that had just fired its coach and general manager. This was a team once nicknamed the Cleveland Cadavers, years removed from self-destructive ownership and still suffering from bad draft decisions. But on draft night 1986, they turned the tables. It started with fleecing the 76ers in a deal that sent Roy Hinson to Philly in exchange for the #1 pick, UNC center Brad Daugherty. Then, with their own 8th pick, Cleveland nabbed Ron Harper, an Ohioan and a versatile two-way wing. And in another deal, they acquired the 25th pick, deadly Georgia Tech point guard Mark Price. 3 big acquisitions in one night, and new general manager Wayne Embry would flesh things out by hiring a champion coach, Lenny Wilkens. The Cavs also signed their 85 draft pick, John Hot Rod Williams, who'd missed what should have been his rookie season because of legal proceedings stemming from a college point-shaving scandal. Starting with this sudden overhaul, the Cavs blossomed. Daugherty, Price, and Hot Rod were all rookie first-teamers in '87. The following season, 1988, the Cavs got even more aggressive. They acquired Phoenix star Larry Nance in exchange for a package that included little-used rookie point guard Kevin Johnson, which, But Nance was a huge veteran addition to a very young team. And that '88 team made a breakthrough. Wilkens coached an elite defense with Harper harassing ball handlers and multiple big shot blockers patrolling the paint. Daugherty and the newcomer Nance commanded the inside scoring. Price came into his own as a point guard who was great at distributing the ball and elite at shooting it. Gazing upon this well-coached, diverse cast of young stars, Magic Johnson declared Cleveland the team of the '90s. In the meantime, the Cavs finished the '88 season with 42 wins, and for only the second time this decade, made the playoffs. They took the 3-seed Bulls to the full 5 games, but lost in the first round. And here they are, 1 year later, closing a decisive first-round game with the Bulls once again. Look at the lineup on the floor, and you'll see the same Cavs stars. Except this time we're in Cleveland. The Cavs are the 3-seed with home court advantage. They improved to 57 wins this season with an even better defense and more balanced scoring from that bunch of youngsters. 3 of these guys and their coach were part of the All-Star team this year. That doesn't fully explain the flip-flop though. How did Chicago become the underdog in this series? The Bulls that beat Cleveland last year were themselves a strong defensive team and presented a ton of toughness in the form of Charles Oakley, the bruising big man the Cavs gave away back when they were making terrible draft decisions. But on offense, Chicago was a one-man show. 25-year-old first-time MVP Michael Jordan led his Bulls in scoring by a long shot and did so with style. True to form, he dismantled the Cavs in that first-round series, dropping 50 points in Game 1 and 55 in Game 2. But in the next round, the Pistons held Michael in check, at least by his standards, and no one really picked up the slack. After losing that series, Chicago made changes, the biggest of which was trading away Oakley, Jordan's close friend and the league's best rebounder. They got back Bill Cartwright, the older, more offensive-minded center who'd been backing up Patrick Ewing in New York. And Coach Doug Collins set out to find an approach that didn't depend entirely on Jordan's scoring. It took some time, and some losing, and some grumbling as Collins scrambled to keep his team afloat. Jordan was distraught, having exchanged his beloved Oakley for the stiffer Cartwright. Injuries piled up. Collins fiddled with the starting lineup and tried desperately to keep Michael happy without overworking him. There were still so many games where Jordan did everything, and it still often wasn't enough. Chicago didn't improve, winning just 47 games after the prior season's 50. And that's why they're on the road, the lower seed in a battle with the much improved Cleveland. Evident on the floor right now is a final, kind of desperate mid-season tweak Collins made to try to counter all that strife. Look at the five out here. We've got Cartwright and second-year Bull Scottie Pippen in the front court, along with Brad Sellers inbounding because Horace Grant fouled out. But alongside Jordan, there's no point guard. This is Craig Hodges, a littler guy, but more of a shooter than a passer. Jordan is the point guard. I'll explain. So Jordan obviously isn't a true point guard. He's developed into basically the ideal shooting guard, a guy who's out there to finish plays. But this was a weird season for the Bulls' backcourt as the team tried to take some of the massive weight off Jordan's shoulders. Collins flipped between Sam Vincent and John Paxson as the starting point guard. And in December, Chicago brought in the sharpshooter Hodges to spell Jordan a bit. But no matter what, Collins couldn't break the Bulls' habit of depending on Jordan's scoring. So after a long meeting between the two in early March, he tried something odd. Jordan became the point guard. MJ was a little skeptical and a little dismissive, but the scheme worked for a while. In March, the Bulls won a ton of games in which Jordan didn't have to lead them in scoring. He orchestrated. In April, Jordan completed an astounding streak of 7 straight triple-doubles. But no matter what Chicago did, they couldn't escape injuries and couldn't beat their division rival Cavs. Chicago had a 6-game losing streak in April and finished the regular season having lost all 6 games against Cleveland. The Cavs faced the Bulls in the last game of the year, rested almost all their starters, and beat them anyway. And if Jordan, the point guard, can't create something here for himself or someone else, Cleveland will beat Chicago again and get revenge for last year, winning a playoff series for the first time since 1976. But this is where I remind you that it's Game 5. Cleveland has let the underdog that they dominated all year make this series dead even. So what happened? One crucial factor is this guy, Mark Price. Price missed Game 1 with a strained groin, and none of his teammates could match the output of guys like Jordan and Pippen. Chicago stole Game 1 on the road. Price returned for Game 2, but clearly wasn't himself. This time, though, someone stepped up. Harper dropped 31 points, and the Cavs evened the series. After that, Jordan went off. He was a point guard, and he was a shooting guard. He was everything. He won Chicago Game 3 with 44 points and 10 assists. At that point, with Price still hurt and struggling, Doherty still yet to shine, and Nance not making up the difference, the Cavs looked doomed. And Game 4 in Chicago probably should have done it. MJ scored 50 points and attempted 4 free throws in the final minute that should have sealed the series for Chicago, but he missed 2 of them. His old college teammate, Doherty, who had been trash-talking him before those free throws, sank 2 of his own to tie it. Then Jordan bricked a buzzer beater, and the Cavs ended up winning in overtime. That was particularly treacherous for the Bulls because Cleveland got some things going in Game 4. Wilkins made Hot Rod Williams a starter, which gave Cleveland a huge front line and allowed Nance to dominate a new matchup against the younger, smaller Pippen. Price also woke up, shaking off the sore groin for 24 points. Can you shake a groin? Does that make sense? Like if you're to...
No, sit down.
Sorry. Anyway, that big new lineup and balanced attack have kept up here at home in Game 5. Cleveland's offense has operated in beauteous harmony. But once again, Jordan is bailing his team out and has kept the Cavs from running away with the game. Michael shot just 5 of 13 in the first half, but has dominated the second half. In the third quarter, he and Hodges were the only Bulls to score at all while their bigs struggled with foul trouble. And yet, for all his unsurpassed brilliance, one can't forget that MJ blew his chances to end the series at home and prevent this game from happening. If he squanders this clutch moment too, that's gonna hurt. If Jordan doesn't finish, this guy is gonna be the hero. That's Craig Ehlo. Ehlo is an unusual bit player alongside this core of Cleveland stars. Not a prize draft pick or a big trade acquisition, but a middling guard who failed to distinguish himself as a young Rocket, then fell out of the league until the middle of the '87 season when Price needed an emergency appendectomy and Cleveland thus needed to sign an emergency guard. Ehlo's hung around ever since, coming off the bench for the occasional big scoring night. But he'd been silent since Game 1 of this series, largely due to a sprained ankle, until the fourth quarter tonight. He's gone bucket for bucket with MJ, scoring 15 of his team-leading 24 points in this period alone. That includes a couple three-pointers in the final few minutes and the huge give-and-go finish that just put the Cavs up 1. That right there could be the game winner, making Ehlo a Cleveland legend forever. It's also a gorgeous out-of-bounds set, giving Coach Wilkins something else to brag about at his Hall of Fame induction a couple days from now. But all of that depends on this right here. Elo is tasked with stopping MJ, which is an interesting choice. Just seconds before Elo's big shot, Jordan absolutely cooked him. Harper believes he should be the guy defending MJ, and it's hard to argue given the times he's locked up Michael before. But Wilkins wanted Elo. It's Elo's job to dictate this pivotal moment in NBA history, a moment set up by his own heroics at the other end. This moment feels like it might choose between two genuine, distinct contenders for the next great NBA dynasty. Will it be the Cavaliers with their soon-to-be Hall of Famer coach and their ensemble of young stars built with a flurry of bold moves? Will they bust through to the second round for the first time in over a decade? Or will it be the inferior Bulls, a team that's seen constant tinkering after questionable moves and depended almost entirely on one transcendent, justifiably grouchy star? Can Jordan break the Cavs' hearts for the second year in a row? We've reached a fork in the road. Let's see which way it leads us. Welcome to a moment in history.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it! They win it! Set the Cleveland Cavaliers. Michael Jordan hits it at the foul line. 101-100.